I'm talking about the
Yeah.
the Galaxy lamp.
Well, they keep telling us to do that, but
Gentlemen and ladies, and anybody watching us from whether you're watching us live or after the event, we're really happy that you've joined us. And listen, right out of the gate, I want to say this. I owe my friend Tim a big thanks for catching my mistake earlier today when I had set the wrong date for this stream.
Oh, it wasn't me.
You sent an email saying, "Hey,
I sent you the email, but somebody pointed it out on Twitter."
Oh, well, thank goodness.
Yeah, one of our guys
was.
I forget his call sign, and so it's Jaeger Thomas.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Hey, listen, as I like to tell my wife, if you're looking for perfection, keep looking.
Well, it was really weird because I woke up this morning, and usually what I do when I first wake up is I'll grab the phone and just see if anything transpired overnight, right?
Yeah.
And so I went to open YouTube or do something, and I saw the link, and it said 37 hours. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I went back to sleep. Right? And then later on in the day, I see this tweet from Jaeger, and he's like, oh yeah, it says tomorrow. I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's why and it all came together right at that moment.
Right. All right. Well, thank you.
It was pre-coffee.
Thank you for relaying, Tim, and thank you to the original sender of that message. It is great.
I hope nobody shows up tomorrow. Actually,
hey, they can watch the replay, right? Team replay, isn't that what they call it?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Hey, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. I know this because our guest is a fun guy who's done a lot of really cool stuff. We're going to get into it with Mike N2MAK. Talk about his history as a ham operator and into radio and the kind of stuff he gets into. But first things first, as is customary, hey, let's go around the table and see what everybody's been up to. Tim, what can you tell us about your activities? Hey, over the holidays and since the last stream, maybe.
It's just been really cold here. I'm not doing anything. I'm like a bear. I just hibernate. But I've been dreaming on new stuff to do this year, and I have a couple of ideas that I don't know. They might work out. They might not.
Did you care to enlighten us?
Well, there was the whole loop idea that Phil and I were working on with the 40 just proved too big. Nobody wants a portable 40 loop that you have to put 40 feet in the air.
Yeah.
That's just but the 20 was fun. We did some work with the 20, and I've had a lot of people have been asking about the Carolina Wyndham that I made for you with the. Well, people like 100.
One of my favorites.
People want a 100-watt version of that, so I'm cooking that up. Yeah.
Well, you made me a 100-watt version, and it works fabulously. Huh. It's getting a little long in the tooth now because I've used it so much, but man, it's been a great antenna.
So there's that, and then all the other stuff we got going on too. I'm gonna redesign some of the enclosures. Oh, and our friends at Comms Depot are going to be at what's it called?
Hamcation?
Yeah, Hamcation. So that was North Hall booth number 198.
Refresher, what did they do? What are they into?
Well, Austin Group is a ham. Again, I forget his call sign. It's K7 something. And he built like an internet storefront for just ham radio stuff. So it's commsdepot.com. Here, put it in the chat. I don't have access to the regular chat, and people can go there and check it out. But it's just like a aggregator for different ham radio stuff, and there's antennas and 3D printed stuff and radio things.
I think we shared that. We talked about that a while ago on the live stream.
About 6 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so they're sort of like you start here to go looking for stuff.
Yeah. You could take a look, and they've got all kinds of things.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get onto this site because I haven't spent any time looking at it. But what's their business model, Tim?
I have no idea. They asked me if I wanted to put my stuff on there.
Oh,
and
okay.
I was just like, oh, okay. So I just call it eBay for ham radio people, right?
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
But if you wanted to get into like specific business models and all that kind of thing, again.
Oh, okay.
My world is a mile wide and an inch deep. So
yeah, well, you know, by virtue of your antenna business,
yeah.
you know, you run into all kinds of folks.
Oh, for sure, for sure. My only
All
suggestion was that they take Bitcoin, but you know,
yeah.
no.
So something just caught my eye. There's a ladybug. It's the middle of winter. There's a ladybug flying around in here. Look at this.
Well, let him go.
Well, and if he comes back, he's my pet. Is that how it works?
Well, don't you have a plant in the house somewhere?
Oh, there's.
Just put him on.
All right, here we go.
I think we lost Mike.
Hey, did we lose Mike?
Yeah.
No, I kicked him off. I said, get the hell out of here.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. So, a
My
couple new antenna designs for Aether Wave antennas this year.
Yeah.
How's business?
At least.
Keeping busy?
We're in the post-Christmas slump.
Yeah.
So I'm only like 3 days
People
behind.
paying off bills.
Yeah.
Hey, but at least you get a little bit of a break. I mean, you've been pedal to the metal for a while.
Well, you would think, right? But I'm putting together a box for the Comms Depot guys. So
right.
What I'm not making for people, I'm making for that. So we'll see what happens.
Good stuff. All right. Hey, Chris, moving over to Connecticut. What's going on in your world?
Well, it's really getting cold here again, which I can't stand. I have a friend of mine that lives a few minutes away from Hamcation, and he keeps telling me, he says, "You got to come down and stay with me. We'll go." I was like, "Yeah."
Don't you hate that? I got a guy in Texas I talk to all the time, and I'll get these little texts and stuff like that with like a picture of a thermometer.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what, dude?
Yep. I know.
Oh my God, it's so cold. How cold is it? It's 50 degrees.
Yeah, that ain't cold. They don't know cold. So yeah, but ham radio wise, I've been pretty quiet. You know, just getting through the holidays and all that. I did post a video on what I called New Year. What was it? New Year, new goals, or something like that. It's kind of like the New Year's resolution for ham radio operators. And
oh boy.
So the funny thing is, it's like I got to put up or shut up, right? So I got to see what things I'm going to attempt to do this year. One of them was actually I was really talking a lot about supporting local radio clubs. You know, if you've got a club nearby, and there's a good chance they own a repeater, so a portion of your dues goes to maintaining that repeater. So it's all good to promote the activity. So when we moved here 4 years ago, I had of course you can see the antennas on my truck, but I had a thing, had my call sign on it. Some guy looked me up at QRZ that lives in the area, sent me an email, invited me to their club meeting like 2 towns away. And of course, here we are 4 years later, and I haven't gone yet. So I'm thinking, all right, I got to make an appearance at a ham club and see if it's see if it's something I want to get involved with. So.
Are you going to play? Are you going to combine and like make a gig out of it?
That's what I should try to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Who knows? Maybe I can parlay a couple
of the whole thing off.
Get some gigs out of it. That's true.
Yeah. Forget your life. That was that's Jaeger. I needed
okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
I needed to equate the YouTube name with the call sign with the.
You need to do one of these, Tim.
Yeah.
Refocus that camera. It's gone loopy on you again.
So anyway,
I was worried it was my drink, but I guess.
Right. I did happen to, before we came on the air, I checked my my logbook of the world, and which is still up, by the way. And I think I mentioned last time I operated the 10 meter the ARRL 10 meter net. I mean contest, and worked a bunch of countries that I had, of course, on other bands, but never had on 10. So I just looked at most of them QSL. So that's nice.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So now my next thing I'm going after is it's going to take a long time. I got the DXCC now. It's like, do I want to try to get 5-band DXCC? That's like
right.
You really need to have, and during the sunspot cycle being the way it is, now's the time to go after 10 and 15 meter contacts. So
you're absolutely right.
So I'm like, okay, spare time.
and CB.
Well, there's that.
Everybody giggles. I'm telling you. I made the prediction that CB is going to make a comeback this year. Watch. You already see it. I mean,
you're right. You're right.
There's some people picking up on it. You know.
Yeah. I wonder how much the move to FM has to do with that. I suspect not that much.
No,
Well, I think there's a lot of CBers buying Yaesus and ICOMs and, and going on the air with a.
I haven't gotten any requests for 11-meter dipoles this past couple of months, though. That's for sure. So, and I do.
They're probably running that. What is it? The A99? Is that the real whiz bang vertical antenna for CB? The A99?
Oh, I don't know.
That's like the antenna they all rave about.
Antron A99. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yep.
I was just going to go get whatever they have at the local TA up here.
So do you guys remember back in the day? And I'm talking about the 70s. I have fond memories of a couple of different CB antennas that I've never seen ham copies of. And it's such a shame. Yep. Number one, do you remember something called the super scanner?
Yep.
3 vertical elements with a control box, and you could beam your signal with this.
That was a great antenna. Yep.
Really cool antenna.
Yep.
The other one, and I owned one of these, and I had it on top of a tower when I was back into CB before ham radio, called the Astroplane.
Yes.
And it had basically an X at the top and a loop at the bottom. What a fabulous looking antenna. That worked pretty darned well too.
Yep. They still make those. There's a company that picked up a lot of those designs and makes them. You remember the old, the Cadillac back then, of course I didn't have it, was a Moonraker.
Yes. Oh, there was a guy in my neighborhood who had one. The rest of us had to shut off our radios, our realistic 23 channel radios, because all he'd have to do was key up on any channel and he'd just blow our front ends out.
5 watts?
Well, he was running 5 watts, no doubt. Yeah.
This guy had an 80-foot tower.
Yep.
And he put it on top of that.
Yep. But we all had the power mics, a Turner, the Turner +2, and I remember going to. We used to have on Long Island. We used to have these. It was a CB version of a ham fest, and you'd go to like this. There was a big like pavilion kind of place, and every like 3 or 4 months they'd have these. They called them coffee breaks, CB coffee, but it was a ham fest. And you just go in there and you buy used, CB gear and cheap, and you bring it home, and I bring it home and tinker with it and get the thing on the air. And it was fun.
Very cool.
Mike. Do you have a CB story yet, Mike?
I don't. I might have a CB radio later this year. We'll see. But
see?
But no CB yet. Just the amateur. I do have GMRS radio and license that I got, but I haven't done much with that yet. So
there's not a whole lot to do with it, I mean, I've got it set up here. There's a repeater that actually runs a net once a week, and it's just a check-in. But this repeater has got this one guy. I'm convinced he's got no life. He sits by his radio all day long, and I've actually heard him talk to himself. I'm like, all right, I got to shut this thing off. I can't listen to this.
There's a couple spots I want to bring the HT out to, though, and just call out and just see a couple like with high elevation where I'd be up 1,500, 2,000 feet, and have a real clear line of sight over the Finger Lakes region, and just call out and see what
happens.
That's one thing I've never gotten is the HT bug. I had one of the old, it was the Vertex, the VX6 or something like that. Does that sound right? And I had it for a week and I played with it, and I was just like, that's why I ended up selling it. Like a week later. I mean, I didn't lose anything, but I just never got the HD thing. Are you going to go to your lookout spot? That spot where you took the.
That's one of the spots I want to bring the GMRS to. At some point.
Overlook or whatever.
Yep. Yep. The official testing grounds for the off-center fed dipole.
Yes. Did you key that up on 2 meters? You tried, didn't you?
No, I've done 6 on it.
Was it 6? Okay, I remember it was. I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
and gigahertz now.
On the 80 meter one, I actually have a 6 meter AM contact.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
So,
6 meter AM, man. Oh, man. you have an old
Hey,
lunchbox with you?
No.
Nice.
Let's not get too deep into that stuff yet, although I do want to get into it. So, Mike, over the holidays, what have you been up to?
Man, it's a busy time. For some that know me, they know, I got a couple kids. My oldest has his general. He's 15. And the youngest is quite the athlete and is always active in sports. And this time of year, he's doing both soccer and basketball. So I'm getting pulled all over the place. And winter's a busy time for work. And then January is my Super Bowl, because for ham radio, not just because I'm on this stream, although that's like the cherry on top, right? But you have, the beginning of the new year. You got the POTA gives you your certificates if you hunt or activate within the first few days of the new year.
Right.
And then you have the coming up this weekend is the POTA Support Your Parks weekend. It happens to overlap with the January VHF contest. Then the week after that, you have Winter Field Day. And I think it's in the beginning of February this year. I'm not sure if it's in the beginning, but I felt like last year was in January, but there's the AM rally. And so these are like these like quirky events that I love doing. And it's like all one week after the other. And it's like I said, January is my Super Bowl. It's just absolutely nuts with ham radio and trying to make the time. I still don't know where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be this weekend. I'll be out, but I still don't know because of schedules with kids and the family and stuff like that. Yeah. But I'll make it out, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, so I'm loving ham radio. It's a busy time, but I'll always make time.
Was that your son and it was playing the cop in the last video?
Yes, that's the oldest. I jokingly call him the licensed child unit. Yeah. Although the youngest technically has a GMRS license, but
nice.
But yeah. Yep.
All right, good stuff. Okay, you know what? Just before we get into it with you, Mike, I'm just going to go down the some of the comments that are in here. Let's just see who's on board. So, ham radio K0KLB. Kevin's with us. Glad to have you with us, Kevin. Who else we got going on here?
I have to put in a plug. Kevin is going to be featuring my music on his show.
Sweet.
Really?
Yes.
Popcorn and coffee, though?
What was it? The Schmengi brothers that had cabbage rolls and coffee? You guys might, if you weren't watching SCTV, you might not know that. N3.
I watched SCTV. I don't remember the Schmengi brothers.
The Schmengi brothers. They played the accordion. N3VAN. They will be, and they were Polish, I think. They will be the replay. Okay, N3VAN. Thanks for joining us. And I think you were number 3 to log in before the stream started. So great to have you on board.
Is he from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Matt. It's Matt. He does. He's from Reliance Antennas, so he makes Reliance Antennas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I saw
Gavin from Oz. Great to have you with us,
Gavin.
Hey,
good night, Gavin.
Put on your radio. I need Australia.
Yeah.
We got Steve Summersell.
Hey, Steve.
Rob Noakes is with us. Good to have you here, Rob.
Shitter's full.
Be willing. Okay. Yeah, he's just giving us the heads up that Mike lost some connectivity. And the Savior, who pointed out to Tim that that this numbskull over here screwed up with the date of the stream in the preview.
It's just another life lesson about copying and pasting things. It's all it is.
Yeah, I didn't copy and paste. I simply selected from the drop down. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lesson for you. Well, there's a lesson.
And I woke up and saw it. I was like, well, wow, the stream's in 37 hours. I can go back to bed. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute. No, something's wrong. But it didn't click.
All right. Who else have we got in here that I haven't recognized yet? There's actually a question in here for you, Mike. Let me go back here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Hey, Mike, love your background. Have to let us know which of those Heathkits you are taking out to the park.
Yeah, I would love to take some of these rigs out to the park, but yeah, this is at I can't remember if I mentioned it in the beginning. This is the Communication Technologies Museum, which is in the Finger Lakes region. It's only maybe a half hour from where I live. And it's an absolutely amazing place. I've done 2 videos there, and I did back in the fall, I did a live stream tour where we had a tour guide bring us through and kind of show. And that way I wanted people to have an opportunity to kind of interact in the chat and be able to ask questions like you
I
would
remember that. Yeah.
if you were on a tour and stuff. And then I have a shorter video that I did the year before, but I mean, it's absolutely amazing down there. And I got to go.
How far are you from like Rochester?
I'm in Rochester. Well, I'm in the suburb of it.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, I'm like 10 minutes away. I work at the University of Rochester, so I'm right there.
Well, they have a college now.
They have a university. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Hey,
But,
hey, hang on, Mike. So is Hollander Stadium still there?
Is that the football field?
It may have been, yeah. And I asked that question because many years ago in my drum and bugle corps days,
okay,
we used to compete in shows at Hollander Stadium.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I work on the med center side of things, so I'm like across the road at the hospital. But I'm not sure what the name of the stadium or the field is off the top of my head.
Okay,
I should know because my son was just across in a basketball tournament there, which was right by the field, like a month last month. So
yeah,
but it's escaping me.
It may be gone now. Anyway, I diverge. I digress.
Okay, hey, we got N2AKJ saying hi, and I think we're caught up now with the people who have commented. Thanks for that. Keep the comments rolling, and we'll get to you as you come on board. I want to shift gears now a little bit. Now let's get into talking about Mike. But Mike, before we get going, there's an important news headline that I want to address. And let me just share my screen here. I got something that I want to share with you. Here we go. All right, let's take a look here. So I'm just going to zoom out a bit. So this is North America. And as we zoom in, what we're doing is we're taking a look at essentially the Great Lakes region here. Now, Mike, you mentioned the Finger Lakes, you mentioned Rochester. So you're down in this area. And by the way, I'm over here. You see Hamilton. I'm just up and to the right of Hamilton here.
I'm right there.
And Tim is over. No, he's actually over. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm literally right there. The lake is right there. Doug Flutie can throw a football into the lake.
Yeah.
Now, what I'd like to call everybody's attention to is this white line right here. You notice how it goes down through the middle of Lake Ontario, and it proceeds to go that way, right? And so here you've got New York State, of course. Up here you've got the province of Ontario, and of course,
it goes right through Niagara Falls too, doesn't it?
It sure does. That's the Niagara River right there. Now, the reason that this is topical is because a few weeks ago, your American incoming leader, President-elect Trump, made a comment about making Canada the 51st state. All right. And honestly, some of us, some of us think it's a great idea. Some of us not so much. But what was really struck my attention, I gotta show you this here.
Well, there's that little chunk in
here. So here is a thumbnail of one of Mike's recent videos.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't realize this had happened already. I'm still thinking, well, maybe should Canada become part of the U.S.? Yeah. Should it not? Well, I'm taking a look at this map here.
Yeah.
Well, we're not Ontario anymore. I guess we're New York. So this already happened. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, it cut off. You're northern New York, but it's
wow. How did that happen?
Well, you see, back in I think it was like 1775, I think, when they attacked Fort Ticonderoga, Benedict Arnold, where he lost his leg or got hit in the leg or whatever it was. Had we won that battle,
yeah,
Tracy would be an American citizen today.
Well, my dad was American, right? I think I've told you guys that before. So I'm half American, although it's too late now. I can't apply for American citizenship. But anyway, that's beside the point. We welcome you, Mike. We're glad to have you with us. Thank you.
Could sneak in.
What's that?
You could sneak in.
Well, I've only got a few more days left if I want to do that, apparently. Okay. But let's get down to it. So, Mike, thanks for coming on. We appreciate the support you've given our stream in months past. You're always vocal in the comments section. Great to have you with us tonight. I'd sort of like to talk about, so tell us about, how did you get involved in ham radio? What's your radio story?
Yeah, I think a lot of people I've talked to, and I always preface it by saying, first of all, I'm a pandemic ham. I'm one of the people that got licensed during COVID. And a lot of it honestly had to do just things slowed down. The kids they were learning remote, and the schools weren't open. There weren't sports for a brief period of time. And so I actually had the time to study and stuff, but it had been something in the back of my mind for a few years. I lived in Binghamton, which is the southern tier of New York, down by the PA border. I lived down there for a decade after grad school, and we had 2 significant floods within a few years, and that was around the time that the TV show Doomsday Preppers was on, and so that's kind of how I got radio and ham radio in the back of my mind for like emergency communications. And I think there's a lot of people that get into ham radio because of emergency preparedness, emergency communications. And we were in the process of moving out to Rochester. My wife and we had 1 son at the time, and then we got settled in Rochester. We started new jobs. We had another kid, and there was always an excuse to keep putting off amateur radio. I had gone so far to look and see where the club was out here, what was involved with getting licensed and everything, but it was just a matter of time. And eventually, was it 2020? I was like, you know what? I've been kicking this can down the road for a while. I have the time, and I crammed, and I did my tech 1 month, and the next month my general, and then the next month my extra. And then the following month, I finally got radios and got on the air and whatnot. But I got into it, and at first I really thought I was going to get my tech and that was going to be it. But the very first contact I made was one of the nicest hams, and I'm blessed to be in an area where we have a very active ham community. My club has right around 500 members, give or take, and so we're one of the larger clubs in the area or the U.S. And so there's just a real active amateur radio community, and they were so encouraging. And my very first contact, my very first HT on a repeater, he was like, no, well, you're kind of in that academic mode. Keep studying. It's fresh in your head. Keep going on. It's going to be easier for you. And I was like, I don't know. But after a week or so, I was like, nope, I'm going to continue on. And just, I found like a really great, amateur radio community here in the Finger Lakes in Western New York. And they're very encouraging. And being in New York, there's no shortage of parks. So I kind of, as I was studying, I don't remember whose video it was or what, but I found out about POTA when I was studying for a general, and I'm like, oh, I think I want to do this. And after I finished my extras, when I bought my first HF transceiver, which was a G90, and I went out and I did POTA. It'd be 4 years in March, and I kind of never looked back. I just I kind of gravitated towards that, and that was, you with this hobby. And I think, Tim, you mentioned earlier how you're kind of like a mile wide and an inch deep with some of the stuff, and that's sort of how I've been in amateur radio. You think you know what you want, you're getting into it for, but you discover there's so much more out there. And I crammed. I did a lot of memorization. Everyone learns differently, but I've really learned hands-on just by trying new things and not being afraid to jump off of 20 and 40 meters and try something else, try different antennas, try different setups, try different modes. And that's been my learning experience. And I started the YouTube channel because, there were so many things distracting me that I wanted to do. And I'm like, let me do this channel. It'll kind of focus, help me focus and prioritize, and keep doing new things so I don't get calm and complacent and, and just stick to the same old. And, that's kind of what's brought me here, like in short.
Good stuff. I would like to add very quickly, if you're watching this, please go over to Mike's channel right now. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe right away. He does some great stuff, which we're going to get into shortly here. So please get over there and do that right now while you're listening to the stream.
But his videos are also fun too. He does fun stuff, and now he's got a writing team, as I understand it now, and they're starting to do like other stuff too. But you're in that sweet spot. How many subscribers do you have now? Like, was it 2,000-3,000, somewhere around there?
I hit 2,000 sometime in the winter, so it's around there.
Yeah. Congrats.
That's perfect. Because you get too big and it's like it becomes a drag, and you don't have it. You've got 20 subscribers, nobody's watching, but you get that 3,000. It's like right there. It's not too serious,
I enjoy doing it. It's fun. I like the feedback that I get. It's helped me learn by trying, encouraging me to try different things, and I try to encourage others to do the same. But I know Tracy, Chris know like the time that you put into just doing a quick short video, like it's, I mean, it's crazy. And it's a challenge.
There's nothing quick about it.
it's a challenge just to try to get one out, maybe, every week or, a couple a month, and try to keep a regular cadence and everything. But it's fun. And it's helped me along. So, and hopefully it's helped others.
What would you say? So, you've been doing it for how long? Has your channel been going here, Mike?
2 years now.
And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And here's my frame of reference. A lot of guys started during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest to you that a lot of them, a significant percentage of them, never got more than 1,000 subscribers. And the market just got flooded with ham radio videos. So the fact that you've been able to take it to this level in what has become a hyper competitive ham radio YouTube market, hats off to you. Not easy, because if I was starting today, it would be a major uphill battle. So what do you have any hints for people who might be thinking about starting?
So our good friend Shane, Scout 75, I can blame him because I loved his content and his channel. And I started doing my channel 2 years ago in January. So it's 2 years now. I should look and see if there's if I pass the date or not. Doesn't matter. But after a couple months, I noticed he was regularly putting out a new video before Ham Radio Clubhouse live stream on Tuesday nights. And so after a few months, I got the courage to reach out to Shane and just said, hey, I know you're doing videos right before. Can I piggyback off of you? Do you mind if I put out, a video right before you? And he's like, no, let's do it. And we started doing it, and we did it for a few months, and we got into that summer. And Shane goes, you know what? We should reach out to other people and see if they want to collaborate and put together a playlist on Tuesday nights. And that was kind of the birth of what we call Tuesday Night Ham Radio. And we were just there's a lot of newer, smaller YouTubers like myself at the time that maybe had a couple hundred subscribers. And maybe we were only doing it for a few months. We're new. And we just started collaborating together. It's grown, and like the 2 years now, I think we're close to like 20 of us that work together. And it's like having a workout buddy where we encourage each other, help each other out. There's no pressure. If I'm slammed with work travel or something, I don't get to do a video, it's not the end of the world, because there's a dozen other people that can put stuff out, and we help each other out with questions about editing and how to schedule premieres and all those things. And it's worked out good. So good that this past summer we started doing stuff on Thursday nights too. So, so it's just in this hobby, whether it's the YouTube or ham radio, it's like, it's just, we're all learning from each other. I say it's, so, yep. So that's what got me to this point is just, working with others and, collaborating and whatnot. And I'm just myself too. Like I'm not trying to do anything other than just be myself and,
That's right.
Doing the things that I like. I haven't done really any reviews or things I've done. It's just me. Has been the stuff that I bought, the things that I use regularly. I've been approached for some stuff, and I've thought about it. Some stuff I didn't have to think about. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna do a video on this. But there's like, no, I barely got enough time to do what I want to do, and so I'm just gonna focus on that, and we'll see where it goes.
Very cool.
See, all the good ham tubers have that in common. They're just so likable, like Walt. Walt's so likable. Mike, so likable.
Walt's great.
I can't do more than once a month. It would be bad.
All right.
Likable. Oh, there you go.
So,
look at you. It's like you're at a football game. Check it out.
Yeah.
What do we got going on here, Mike?
So this is the 222 and up contest that the ARL does. So I love getting out and operating some of the VHF stuff, and I can't say it enough. We have in Western New York and Southern Ontario, and Tracy should know this, a very active VHF group. So there's a lot of people out doing 50 megahertz and above. And so the 222 and up contest is technically a distance contest. I'm not going to win any distance, but I don't mind handing out points and just going out and having fun. And I was going to see, can I actually activate a park on 222 megahertz and up? And it was the first time I did FT8 on 70 centimeters. You can see the ICOM 705. So that was set up with the computer for FT8 on 70 centimeters. And then there's an ICOM 880H mobile, and that was on 446 FM. And then you see the HT, that's a BTEC tri-band, and that was on 1.25 meters, 223.5.
Wow.
And so
nice.
I'm operating 3 different radios, using 2 different bands, 2 different modes, all at the same time. And it's a little chaotic when you're getting calls and you're going, like, there's a couple times I couldn't tell which radio it was. I'm not gonna lie, but it's fun. It's and it's something different. And you can get out there, you can make those contacts on VHF and above.
Where do you find CW?
What's that?
So wait till you find out about CW.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's on the to-do list at some point. I am still entirely portable. So I don't have a station at home. I jokingly in the green room, I was saying, this is my base station right here. This is an ICOM IC32AT. It's from about 1989. I bought it at an auction for like $40. It was a steal. And I use that thing all the time to check into nets, this or that. But being a pandemic ham, part of the reason I got into POTA was to get out of the house, just get out, get away, and stuff. So everything I do is portable right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's okay. You can do CW portable.
Yeah. And I want to wait till I get something set up, and it's one of my goals this year. Chris had a great video on goals, and one of my goals is to either get a permanent station in the car or the house. And then when I have something that's permanent where I don't have to set up an antenna every time I want to practice or do some of this stuff, that's when I'll dive into CW, probably in the next year or two, but I'll get there.
You get one of those Hustler, was it the 40-meter Hustler antenna with the big, like the oil filter? I can't remember the model number. You know what I'm talking about though, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
What are you driving these days?
What's that?
What are you driving? Didn't you have a Subaru?
I have a Subaru Outback.
Okay.
And it's new. I just bought it in the spring.
It's got a hitch.
So
It's got a hitch, right?
what's that?
It's got a hitch, right?
No, it does not.
Oh, get a hitch.
I got a drive over mast, or mast mount, like one of
okay.
Actually, I have two of them, so I'm good with that and stuff. But newer cars, I think, though, are a little bit of a challenge when it comes to doing installs, as far as finding the space.
Yep.
And things like on the tailgate, a lot of the tailgate is plastic, where I'd be putting on a mount, and you're not going to get good or any ground and stuff. So I'm still thinking things through, and more so what I would want to put in there, given how I operate. If I want to put something like a 7100 in there, so I can have, all band, all mode.
That's right. Yep. That's what I have. I have a 7100 in my truck, and it's great. I can be on HF. I have two. I have a 20 and a 40 meter a ham stick with a little a coax switch just behind the driver's seat, and then I have a dual band VHF UHF antenna for the other part of it, and that rig, it's DC to daylight. You can do. It's great. It's good. It's a great mobile radio. It really is.
Yeah, and I have the 705 and the 7300. I'm kind of in that ICOM ecosystem. It just sort of happened, and I'm sure that I'll if I play around with one, like, it'll just be like riding a bike. It'll be second nature. Yep. My VHF club actually has one. Then they were just telling me at a meeting a couple weeks ago, if I want to borrow it, they have one that they loan out to members, and I can toy around with it. So it's something I'll probably do and see if this is something I really want to consider buying or not.
Yep. It's great radio. I mean, I can vouch for it. I've had it for 6 years now, and no trouble at all. Works great.
Good.
Yeah, I don't remember the Schmenke brothers. I remember like Jackie Rogers Jr. Okay, but the Schmenke brothers.
Tex and Irma Boyle.
Yeah. Okay. Who's the
Piano
guy
Emporium?
Who had the show? He used to play with the deck, and like change all the colors around and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, but I do remember Johnny LaRue and his Christmas Crane. I don't know if you remember that one.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
It was, and didn't they do it? Wasn't there like a caper? Joe Flaherty was like the leader.
Oh, he was Count Floyd.
Yeah, he was Count Floyd, but they did like a caper skit where he was getting the guys together and they were gonna rob the casino or something like that. It was like an Ocean's 11.
Oh man, we're good. Speaking of rabbit holes, okay, let's get back on track here. All right, now I gotta say, when you sent this photo across, Mike, the first thing I'm thinking of, and I'm completely dating myself here, would be Green Acres and Eddie Albert riding around a tractor with his suit on. What is going on here?
So this is another. It just happens to be another 222 and up contest, but I'm so fortunate. This park is just like 2 miles or less from my house. A mile is the crow flies, but 2 mile and a half from my house, and I just like I said, I like trying to do these quirky little contests and activity things, and so that's a Linko mono band HT for 1.25 meters that I picked up at auction a year or two ago, and connected to a J pole just up the mast, and stopped by after work, still in the suit on the way home, and I'm like, I'm going to make a few contacts on 1.25 meters, because here's one of the rare times that people will be active on the band, and let's just go have some fun and hand out some points to people, and so made a couple contacts on 125, and then I probably got like another 10 or something on HF just to get full credit for activating. But yeah.
That is such a cool thing, keep the radio, and we're kind of challenged with weather, cold weather, very hot weather, with batteries, but to keep a kit in the car. I'm just going to quickly set up and make a few contacts, and I'll be on my way again. I haven't done enough of that. but I don't commute anymore either. So that's got something to do with it. But I just love that whole genre.
Yep.
All right. Oh,
Hey,
you know,
now we're talking.
There we go.
if you had worn a cotton shirt with a collar and one of Tim's pocket protectors, we could think this photo came straight out of the 1960s.
Yep.
This is a beautiful shot.
Yeah. So the AWA, the Antique Wireless Association, they operate the Communication Technologies Museum, and this is the ham shack there. So I was on, there's a Collins K1W, and they did a AM QSO party one weekend this fall, and I got to go operate. We were putting out a few hundred watts on AM, and I mean, the sound that you get from this radio, and just it's just absolutely amazing, and it was so much fun. I went out the next morning, and I made my first contacts on I think 20 meter AM and maybe 10 meter AM. It was fun. It was a really good time, and it's so neat to operate some of the older equipment that they have there. And like I said, I mean, not many people get a opportunity to go put out a couple hundred watts on AM. And, that was fun.
Yeah.
Really good time.
And it's amazing that, to your point, that the fidelity of a true AM transmitter and receiver, it's broadcast quality. It sounds great.
Yeah. I've done some POTAs, and I think there's a photo down the road where I've gone out and I've done AM, and usually it's late shift, 40 meters, maybe 80. And it's fun. It's a huge challenge to find the bandwidth, though. To find the space where you're not stepping on people. I try to be courteous, but also you're not getting interference from others. But and I only started doing AM this time last year, but what I've really enjoyed when I do it is so many of the people making that contact are like, wow, this is the first time I've done AM, or I haven't made an AM contact in years. And they're just like genuinely like excited and grateful to be doing something different, and all it takes is you just push that button on the transceiver. Almost all of them have it. You just push the button, change over to AM. There you go.
Making AM great again.
Yes.
Mike, so, when I look at this, what I'm thinking is, geez, and I don't know where this place is in terms of location in the city, on the outskirts or whatnot, but with all the noise on the lower bands, I'm thinking AM would be hampered by that. But from what you're talking about with the fidelity, it sounds like it wasn't really an issue for them.
No, it's good. Sometimes at night when I've done 40 meters, because 40 meters, it seems, and some of those lower bands are much more susceptible to some of the atmospheric noise and whatnot. And if I'm getting picking up static and lightning from storms or whatever, it's sometimes it can be kind of hard, but no, it's neat. And the people that are definitely the AM operators, when you work them, I mean, you can tell just like the sound quality that they have is second to none.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. That is a lot of fun. Okay, what do we got? And I wanted to say this. I was off while you guys were talking about Hustler. This came from a Silent Keys estate. This is a collection of Hustler whips.
Oh, nice.
Collapsed. So that's on my project list, but Tim was referring to the Hustlers earlier, and
It's the Hustler RM40, by the way.
So this one here is an RM75, but there is an RM40 in here. I got a 20, I got a 15, and a 10, I think. So I'm going to have some fun with that later this year. Okay, the Outback. We've got an HF or a YouTuber's field Outback club, right? Because there's yourself, there's myself. There's Michael out in Wisconsin. He's got one. There's probably somebody else that I'm
Rob 741.
Does he?
Rob 741 has one too. He's got the same year as I do, a 2024. Yeah.
All right. So yeah.
Yep.
Together we are strong. That's
Well, you know what? I will tell you that after Jeep and after Saab, my third choice would be a Subaru.
They do have a good reputation, particularly in the snow. All right. So what's going on in this photo?
So this is the June VHF contest this past year. I'm at Carlton Hill, Apota Park, and you can see I've kind of coned off the area I was operating in, and just to be safe and everything. But you're going to see a couple masts, because again I'm using multiple radios, multiple bands, multiple modes, sometimes all at the same time. On that tripod is an Elk dual band log periodic for 2 meters and 70 centimeters, and so that's for weak signal, VHF, UHF.
What'd that run you?
The Elk, like 120, maybe 100 at the time when I got it.
Okay.
I just picked up one for 1.25 meters. That was, I think it was under 100 because they were like overstock at Gigaparts, and so I got it just in time for this contest coming up. But there, so the Elk is connected to the 705 for weak signal, and then the other two masts got J poles for 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and then also 1.25 meters. And I swapped out the Elk later for I have I think it's a Momo Beam 6 meter Yagi, and that I don't have two masts that'll support both of those, so I kind of got to swap out one for the other. But I operated there for a while. I made contacts on 6 different bands. In addition to what you see, I had HTs that would do 900 megahertz and 1.2 gigahertz, and we're up about 1,600 feet there. You can see the clear line of sight. If you're staring at the photo, that's looking northwest and from the Finger Lakes. And so with all the activity out in Western New York and Southern Ontario, that's like a great vantage point. And, even using the Alinco HT that does 1.2 gigahertz, that's only 1 watt. 1 watt from an HT with the rubber duck, and I was still making simplex contacts, anywhere, like 10 miles out or so. It's just amazing.
No, I was thinking of Tracy. If he's got that kind of elevation, you could probably work him.
Oh yeah, in the contest back in September, I operated FM only, and I was getting from the park closest to my home. I was getting QSOs 100 to 130 miles into Ontario on 2 meter FM simplex with 50 watts.
Nice.
And some of that is the tropo that we're getting. Anyone can make contacts on VHF. You just need a good antenna and a great lake. That's really kind of what it comes down to. But yeah, you can definitely get out but you get that elevation, mixed with some of the tropo and stuff, and it's just
tropo. I haven't heard that in a long time. Wow.
You've got a really tremendous location there because you've got hills like that. We don't have anything like that in Southern Ontario. We have something called the escarpment, the Niagara Escarpment. And that goes up maybe 700 feet, 800 feet or so. I could be a little off on that. But there is a park here in Burlington called City View Park, which you can't see the lake from there, but it's literally just beyond some trees and a few buildings and soccer fields. So, if I were to sit up there in the parking lot, and this is, by the way, is a regular hangout spot for guys from the area club to go up on Saturday mornings and do a little bit of VHF and also HF while they're up there. So, yeah, I sort of suspect that that you and I could probably work if I go up to that location.
Definitely.
My biggest issue is that all I've got for multi-mode up there is my 705 cranking out a paltry 10 watts. But on single sideband, that's almost line of sight.
Yeah, that's fine.
We should be okay. We'll have to try that sometime.
Yep. I was getting, when I first did 2 meter SSB, I just had a speaker wire dipole, And I was getting well into Ontario with just 10 watts.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else is next. Oh, this is so much fun. Okay,
Yeah.
you got to tell us about this.
Yeah, so that's my buddy Jeff K2CJB. He's a ham out here, and he got licensed I think a year or two after I did. And the quick story on Jeff, he reached out to me, he sent an email, and he's like, "Hey, I know you do a lot of POTA. What's a good antenna to get?" And I kind of started off, and I said the email, I'm like, "This is going to be a long email, but let me just first start off by saying, if you want to go activate, let me know. I'll go out and I'll bring a bunch of antennas." And then I wrote kind of about what I used at the time. And he took me up on it. We went out. He had a 991. And I had the G90 at the time. And a friend brought a 7300. And my buddy and I went out and we brought Jeff out to kind of do an activation. But I wanted him to see a couple different antenna options. So we brought a random wire with a 9-to-1. We brought an NFET half wave, and we brought a Wolf River coils. And I brought a mast, and we set up, and I showed him how to set up and guy a mast so that you could set up the NFET half wave. The random wire, I brought the throw weight in the throw bag, and we put it up in a tree. And then the Wolf River, we set up and kind of let him like see, because it's not just about like which antenna is going to perform better, but it's like what's going to fit your style of operation, what's going to fit, where and how you operate. And we had a good time. And he got so much into POTA that he bought a boat just for POTA. And so he brought this boat, and in the back is the island, Skino Island. It is a lake island. It's in Canandaigua Lake, which is one of the Finger Lakes south of Rochester. And it is, I guess it's technically not the smallest park in New York. There's a park that opens up when the state fair is going on briefly that constitutes the smallest park in New York, but this is the smallest regular park that there is in New York. It's this island. It's on, I mean, my backyard's probably bigger. And, and so we've gone out together twice. He's been out many times to activate, but he was the first one to do it. It had never been activated until like 2 years ago when he first did it. And it's just a blast going there, and you're just all alone. You got the island to yourself. And it's also U.S. islands on the air, or I shouldn't say it's not on the air. It's U.S. islands. And so that U.S. islands program, if anyone's familiar, is another one of those on the air programs where you can, get credit. And when I would go there, I'd let the folks that are active in that program know that we'll be there. And, we certainly got a bunch of pileups, including you, Tracy. I was on the island when I worked you.
Absolutely.
And we had so it's like a mini de-expedition. We go with so much gear that we don't need. We're totally like over prepared and everything. But it's been great. Both days we went, we've had fantastic weather, and it's only a couple minute boat ride from the shore, but you need a boat to get there, and you need something smaller. It's too shallow. So you need something like this, or you would need to kayak out like some others have done.
That is very cool,
Yep.
man. I just think that's wonderful. Any other islands that you guys are looking towards maybe activating going forward?
I've done a couple other ones that were like river islands in the Finger Lakes region, and that overlap also with POTA parks and stuff. That's the only lake one that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But I got to look. I'm not very active in the program, but like I said, I've done it, and I've had a couple people reach out and say, "Hey, this island is near you, and it's also a POTA park. Would you consider doing it or something? And if you do, let me know." And so that's usually the extent of when I've done them, but it's fun.
Okay, does that lake ever freeze over? And you know where I'm going with this one?
No.
Oh, darn.
I don't know that any of them around here really do.
Yeah, no, same here. Absolutely. All right. Oh, this looks cool. Now, this looks like fun. What have we got going on here?
Well, I mentioned this antenna a while ago in one of your chats on one of these streams. And this is a folded skeleton sleeve antenna, and it is dual band. It is cut for 2 meters and 6 meters. So it's in the weak signal, the lower portion of both of those bands, and made it for pennies on the dollar. It's just some ladder line. I did an air choke with just some of the RG 58 that I had, to create the feed point. But it's a very interesting antenna. It is dual band, so you're getting 2 bands, and the higher element. So in this case, the 2 meter element, it's not electrically connected. It's a parasitic element.
Huh.
And but you're getting 2 bands essentially, and the bottom one is just a folded dipole. But you're, unlike an end-fed half wave where you're going to get extra bands, but you're going to get the harmonics and you're going to get radiation patterns with lobes, you're effectively going to get 2 dipoles for the price of 1 with this. So if you for me, this makes sense because my club does 2 meter and 6 meter SSB nets. And so that works for me. But a ham could make something like this for 40 and 20. And and the video I did for this, I put a link for the links and the instructions, but it's as simple as making a couple snips and a couple solders in some 450 ohm ladder line. And then you get, 2 dipoles, effectively, and a consistent radiation pattern, which is nice if that's something that you're interested in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Oh man. You know what? I'm going to tell you just before we get into this one. I have been looking every winter. I look for an ice fishing hut to see if they're going to go on sale, see if I can get a good price on one, because it is perfect for something like winter field day.
Yeah.
Because there is nothing worse than that biting wind that comes across. So is this winter field day we're looking at here?
No, this is the January VHF contest. You'll see a 6 meter speaker wire dipole up in the back. And you can see on the ground the ice sled that I used to bring everything up, because this is both POTA and SOTA. We're up about 1,600 feet. I'm right next to the lake that the other photo was on. So I'm looking out to that island from where the island would be in back of me in the photo. But I went up, and my whole start in YouTube was a short that I did when my son and I and one of my friends went to go do our first SOTA. And it was at this location, Bear Hill, which is also a POTA park. And we went to do the SOTA intentionally during the September VHF contest, because we had never done 2 meter sideband. So I made these speaker wire dipoles for us, and we went up and I shot a quick YouTube short of the first summit activation that I did. And that's kind of what morphed into this, because I enjoyed it so much that I got the gear for the winter, and I wanted to go back to the same location. And the very first video I shot was me going up to test the gear. And I was like, you know what, let me shoot, and I should say the first real video, not a short, quick, 30-second thing. And, that kind of just led me down, the whole YouTube avenue, because as I said in the beginning, a lot of this was to try to just encourage me to do new things, test stuff out, try different things. And, but this location, this was fun. I went up, I did a little bit of HF, but I wanted to use the new to me ICOM 705, which I had only had for a couple months, and really, try it out on weak signal VHF, and see what you could do with just speaker wire dipoles.
I think this is one of the first videos I ever saw of yours, actually.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
The one I did for this SOTA was the second video I ever did, and whatnot. But no, a lot of fun, and it helps having active people in the region for those.
Oh, it sure does. There's no doubt about that.
But
because there's none of that really around here. You know, I remember when I got started and I was doing. There was a couple repeaters in the area, and there's like the Chicago FM Club, right? Which, oh yeah, we're on the this and that on 6 meters or whatever, and I tuned in for like a month, right? I couldn't hear a thing. It was just okay. So I could get into the local Aries repeater here in Libertyville, and then there was a guy out in out kind of close to Rockford. I had a Mosley 2-meter beam that I put up on one of those extended mounts or whatever, so it was pretty high. So going that way, I could hit Rockford, and if I really tried going that way, I could hit like the Western Shore of Michigan.
Okay.
Which was cool, but other than that, I mean, there just wasn't a lot of. There still isn't a lot of 2-meter activity around here, which surprises me. Because I even put a mag mount and a 2-meter vertical on one of my cars, and drove around like that for 6 months, trying to pick up people and do stuff like that. I never got the cops and like the local fire with the fire net and that kind of thing. The city workers, I could tune into that if I wanted to, and that ended up being it. So you're lucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we got here, Mike?
Just one of the certificates, you know. I've talked a lot about VHF, and I don't want to, you know, bore people to death with it.
I think VHF
but
is
I think
cool.
The big theme for my journey in adventure and ham radio has been looking for ways to combine things. And so the whole VHF thing started with wanting to try out 2-meter sideband on a rig and be able to make contacts, and then figuring out like, hey, let's go somewhere where we got elevation. Let's do our first soda, you know, and kind of combining these things. Or AM, like I said, I go out and do some POTA on AM, or I will go out during an AM contest and do POTA, just to kind of try to combine these things and look for opportunities where you can, you know, have fun and mix different things together. And that's part of the learning process, or at least it has been for me.
Yeah. You know what? And congratulations. This is a single operator, first place, Western New York. That's fantastic. I've got a problem here with 2 meters and sideband. I don't know what it is, but there's something in this area that every 15, 20 seconds or so puts out maybe a 1 second burst. It's 40 over S9, and it's just continuous. I can even hear it from that park I was referring to up, which is, well, I don't know, it's like 4 miles from here, something like that. So it's something in the area which is putting out enough of a signal to really interfere. That's too bad, because once in a while I'll hear somebody on 2-meter sideband, and I'd be sure it would be fun to make some contacts.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now this is
the start of it. My first POTA.
This is sort of like, you know, my heart, you know, misses a beat when I see something like this, because this is my thing. This is my style. So what do we got going on here?
Yeah, the G90 was my first transceiver. I was torn for a while. We hams have a tendency to overthink things. And so I'm thinking, what do I get? Do I get a G90? Do I get an 818, or do I get an 891? I knew I wanted to be portable. I ended up obviously going with a G90, and the rationale was, and I totally recommend it to new hams. It was because for the money that I was saving, I was able to invest that money into better coax, into additional gear, buying a soldering station, and all these other things that kind of go along when you're getting in. I didn't come from a ham family, so I didn't have anyone in the family with gear and or anything else. So, you know, whether it's buying crimpers to coax, all this stuff I knew I needed to get started. So I figured the few $100s that I'm saving, that can be better spent down the road.
Yeah, it's a perfectly sound strategy. You get a bigger battery, a little bigger battery, a little better battery chemistry with it, the whole thing. I totally agree.
Yep.
A lot of guys, like some guys I know, would immediately go for the 891, right? Or the 818. So there are people in the ham community who will spend 3 times as much money on the radio and then skip on everything else.
G90 is a good value. I almost bought.
I
I
agree.
sold mine, but I almost bought one over the Christmas because they were like on sale for $400.
Yeah, that's why I got mine.
And
Like 2 years ago, they ran a sale, and I got the radio, I got the fan, I got the couple other gimmies
Yeah.
with it or something like that. It was it was like $449 or something like that. It was sold.
there's tuners more expensive than the G90, and
Right.
but 20 watts is perfectly fine for operating portable. It's got the tuner built in. It'll tune anything. It's easy to use. It allowed me to experiment with different antennas and different things as I was learning, and I totally recommend it. It was a good start. I wouldn't change it.
And you know what? If you dropped it or it blew up,
Right. So what?
Yep.
it was like
Mhm.
you're not gonna kill yourself. So
Exactly.
Mike, one of the things that I wanted to chat with you about, and we'll continue down through, but since we're looking at a portable environment anyway, I really wanted to get your take on this because you've had the opportunity. Speaking of higher powered portable radios, ICOM 7300 versus Yaesu FT710.
Yes.
All right, I want you to expound for the people on this, please.
So my club bought a 710 for club use for the members. It's for new members to take out and test it out. Have an HF radio, see if that's what they want. And so they bought it shortly after they came out, and they gave it to me. Right, my son tore the screen protector off when we brought it home because I do a lot of portable stuff. So they were like, "You do portable, like play with the radio, figure it out." And I've since borrowed it a couple times to bring it out. I've done a soda with it. I hiked up with it on my back to do a soda. I've done POTAs with it. I've done WinLink, APRS, or not APRS, WinLink, FT8, SSB. I've done everything I can to try to learn and get familiar with the radio. I say this hands down. It's a good radio. And it's even better now that it's been more competitively priced since when it first came out. ICOM could still sell a 7300 for $1,000 or more because people would buy them. It's that good of a radio. And there's so many users out there that you can lean on for advice or tips or whatever. But it's good to have competition. It's good to have new stuff. When I try a new radio like that, it helps me better understand what I like about what I have or what I dislike. And there's no perfect radio. There's no perfect antenna. It's a matter of, does it fit somebody's operating style? For me, it's the 7300, but that's because of how I operate. I like having the emergency tuner. I like having that option built into the 7300. I like the ability to display multiple meters on the 7300, especially for digital modes. Like if I'm doing WinLink or FT8, I like being able to see the ALC. I like being able to see the SWR, the power out, the current drain. I like being able to see all these things because I was just doing FT8. It was with the 705 the other day. And I realized because I had switched radios on that computer from the 7300 to the 705, the ALC was off. I needed to adjust the sound card settings in VARA. But because I could see all these meters at the same time, it helps me better understand what's going on and when I need to fix something. I've had coax fail. I've had things, and when you can see a lot of those, I like that. It's an ICOM thing. And then the last real big feature for me is that the ICOM radios have that SWR chart built in. And that's really helpful when you do what I do, which is portable, because I could set up the same antenna the same way at a different park. And there might be something interacting with it that's going to make it off or whatever. And it's just handy to have that. You don't need any of that stuff if you're going to set up a 710 in your shack at home. It's going to have a better receiver. It's going to be more, it's like 10 years newer, or I'm not sure exactly when the 7300 came out, but it's been out for years now. So not outdated or anything, but there's a place for both. And if people are in the Yaesu ecosystem, it's like a Ford and Chevy thing. Then maybe they gravitate to it more. I think you've done more on the current drain and looked at that as far as the 710 and some of these Yaesus being battery hogs. I usually only get out to operate portable for maybe like, if I'm out for a couple hours, that's a long time. Sometimes it's like an hour or so in between practices or after work or something else. I fit it in when I can, but I haven't had any issues with batteries. The batteries that I've drained or killed, I did so intentionally, and I did it with the 710. I hooked it up to a 6 amp hour battery to see how long can I go at 100 watts HF pile up in POTA, before it kills it. And there I go. I know because I tried.
that was groundbreaking, actually.
Yeah.
It shocked me. How long did you get out of that 6 amp hour battery?
Have to go back and
running
look.
100 watts.
But I think it's like an hour more or something. Like it's
that's
I forget how many contacts you get in, but it's more than enough. Like you don't. It's not ideal, but you can get by with that. You can travel on planes usually with like up to a 12 amp hour battery, and stuff. But yeah, that smaller battery you can get by, but it depends. Again, how are you going to operate? Are you doing sideband? Are you going to do FT8? You're going to run full power? You're going to run for a couple hours or just an hour or what? Everything's it's relative to how you're going to use it.
That's right. And I think that's the thing that a lot of folks have to keep in mind. Like if you're going to go out and if you have an interest in going out to do POTA, right? You really have to. What is it you want to do? Like you see yourself going out there spending the all day long and racking up 500 contacts, or you're going to go out for an hour and I'm going to activate. I'll get 20, 30, 40 contacts, call it a day. And do I need to carry bigger radio, smaller radio? You really have to think those things through before you just dive in and start spending money. So good point.
I want to throw another positive in. Now I've got a 710 here. I really like it. And by the way, just full disclosure, I don't have a 7300, never had one, never wanted one. And it's for the very simple reason that everybody and his brother has a 7300. I for my entire life, it doesn't matter what's popular out there. I'm just the guy who's going to go the other direction. That's just a personality thing about me. But one thing the 7300 has, and I can't understand why Yaesu screwed this up. So they both have voice memory for CQ POTA.
Yeah.
The ICOM has a repeat function.
Yes.
The Yaesu does not. Every single time you want to have that recording go out, you got to hit the button, as opposed to repeating every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds. That's a huge feature.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing field day, if you're going to be doing POTA, any other kind of activation where you're looking to make contacts, don't overlook that one. Jeez.
Yeah. Speaking of the voice, there's two other things. One of which I know is a big difference between the 710 and the 7300. And again, this comes down to how you're going to use it. Both can record QSOs, but the Yaesu is just, it records it all as like one long file. You hit record and it just records the whole thing. Like if you were putting in a tape and you just pushed record and let it go to the end. But the ICOM will break up the QSOs and into separate files if you want, and it will timestamp them. So being a ham tuber like myself, recording the QSOs and being able to easily pick out where they are and pull them out for a video or something is nice. But it's also nice if you want to record, if you want to go back to a recording, if I can just look at my log and I spoke to, I could look at, a log for a contact with you, Tracy, and just see what time it was, go to the card, put it on my computer, I back them up there, and I can easily pull up and hear the QSO and easily find it rather than having to look and scrub through a massive audio file. And again, it's small things, and it's all relative to how somebody wants to use or operate. But there's been a couple of times I did a POTA with my son. We were up on Lake Ontario, up near the Thousand Islands, up that side. And my son and I do a quick POTA. go back to the cottage, and I get an email from a ham, and he's like, "Hey, here's a recording of our QSO. I know you were out operating with your son. I thought you'd like the record." And it was just a nice, genuine email that he sent. And I've done the same a couple times where somebody has said, "Oh, this was my first HF contact," or I've done it a couple times when people would ask and they made an AM contact, and it's easy to reference or whatever. But that's a difference I noticed, and I'll spend some more time, but I couldn't find a way to change the way the record setting works on the 710. So I do like what ICOM does with that. I don't know though if the 710 has the same built-in RIDI decoder that the 7300 and 705 do.
I don't think it does.
But I've done RIDI during the RIDI contest where there's an easy, simple exchange, and you can just program in the exchange and just push button, no computer necessary. I did it last January. I missed this year the RIDI roundup. That's the other January event.
Right.
But I went out. I did it with Tim's 80 meter off center fed dipole. Set that thing up, and I was doing RIDI on 80 meters, 40 meters, 20. I was all over the place. It was great. That's pushing buttons on the screen. I'd never done it before. I learned it at the house the day before, and I just.
What'd you use? Did you download like the MTTY or something, or?
No, the 7300 has it built in.
Oh, it's got built in. Oh, that's cool.
You can you can record your CQ call. You can pre-program in the exchange, and so I'd only do it during a contest where people are calling CQ, and I exchange whatever the thing is. If it's
that's how I
59 WNY.
I couldn't get out there. I couldn't get out there and call CQ on RIDI. No, that's not no. But in a contest, I'd pick them out and stuff like that. And I used to have fun dialing it in on the computer and stuff like that. But that was a while ago. There wasn't a 7300 with that feature when I was playing RIDI. I
want to do more with FL Digi. I haven't done much with the modes. My club has been doing classes on it. I've been to one of them, but I gotta try and play with that a little bit more, because I think FL Digi, you can set up the macros and some of the stuff for RIDI, and you can use that. But that's down the road. But it's a nice feature of the 7300. But the 710 is a great radio. I should get a commission because I've sold plenty of them from people that have emailed me, and I'm on it. Like, I have all these ICOMs, but it's a great radio, and I like going out and playing with different things. That's how you learn, and it's either going to reinforce what you believe, like, nope, this is not that good of a radio, I like this, or it's going to make you think like, oh wow, this would be nice. ICOM needs to do something like this or that, and it's how you learn. You try things out.
Yeah, you sure do. Hey, I want to switch gears a little bit here, Mike. And I've had this. I think I've noticed something, but I wanted to get your take on it because you're an ardent POTA guy.
I am.
Are we seeing some of the bloom come off the rose for POTA? Do you think that maybe it's because it's been going strong for a number of years now, but I think at least in my area, and believe me, I'm not watching the POTA page to see how many people are activating and all the rest of it. And I know it's the dead of winter, but I just wonder, do you notice anything in terms of, because I'm hearing things like, well, I've worked all the local parks, and it's like now in order to work a new park, I got to drive a few hours and I don't want to do that. Or we got all these lids on here who are throwing carriers and causing interference. What's your take? Do you think POTA is continuing as strong as it's ever been? What do you think? Where do you think we're at?
I think they used to, a couple of years ago, they were doing these updates periodically and sharing how many QSOs, how many activations, and some of the data. But my gut is that it's continuing to grow. And I think it's definitely gotten a lot of people into the hobby, but also back into the hobby. Those who might have left and then kind of gotten interested during the pandemic when POTA was sort of taken off and looking for a way to get back into amateur radio or something to do because they've moved and downsized and they're in a apartment now or a townhouse and everything. I think it's definitely taken off. I continue to see new people in my region get into it. and reach out for advice. And every year I'm taking a couple people out for their first POTAs and
Nice.
everything. And it's I think it's going good, but
Yeah.
I don't, that's just anecdotal.
No, for sure, right?
Well,
Yeah.
it's all going to be anecdotal. I don't know. The vibe
Yeah.
I get is that we've,
Yeah.
it's been the past couple of years, but
Mhm.
we've hit this intermediate plateau
Yeah.
kind of thing with it, and I was looking for the next leg up, so to speak. I don't know what it's going to be though,
Mhm.
whether it's POTA or whether it's skyscrapers on the air or what else were we talking about the other night? So
We were talking about rest stops on the air.
rest stop, the TAs on the air. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Walmart parking lots on the air.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, they've added a lot of parks the last year or so. They've definitely added a lot of parks. So there's a lot more opportunity for people out there if they were bored or they wanted something new. Well, there's plenty of new parks that were added all over. And kind of part of my whole journey has been, like I've said, is mixing things together, going out and doing a POTA during the Riddy Roundup, for example, just to do something new and different.
Yeah.
And so, try to encourage people, look at these nets and contests don't have to be a bad thing. I know there were many times I'd be cursing at the radio when I had the G90 and I'm trying to activate, but it's a contest weekend and I keep getting stepped on, and it's like, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can look for some of these activities, whether it's a VHF contest, whether it's Riddy, whether it's doing, certain bands like 10 meters. Look for these opportunities and kind of set a chance, like, I'm going to go activate and I'm going to do this. I'm going to try a different mode. I'm going to try different bands than I normally would. I'm going to get off 20 and 40 and I'm going to go try 17.
You mentioned like with POTA and doing other things with it. The POTA rules for like exchanges and everything, it's not really like a contest, right? In fact,
Exactly.
they said it's a contest, right? So you can, like, if there is an HF contest going on a particular weekend and you're in a park, if you make 10 contacts in that contest, you've activated the park, right?
Exactly.
Because I did that one year with Field Day. I just went, I used my 7100 in the truck, and I put up a Wolf River coil, and I had Tim's link dipole up, and I activated 3 parks one day on Field Day. It was a rove, right? So I didn't call CQ parks on the air. I went around and just made contacts. It's like, 10 contacts here, I'm good to go. That's what I did. So that actually adds a little twist to activating a park when you do that. So it's
you've got work bands too.
Yes.
I've already been, I've always been a fan of 30 and 17 especially.
Yeah.
In fact, I even made an antenna for it. So,
and if it's a contest weekend, they don't use POTA.
That's right. Bands. Yeah. Contest weekends, I always hop over on 17 because it's open just as much as 20.
Sure.
Right. And even on 30, it's all digital, but so what?
Yeah. So Tim mentioned the work bands. I did a video a couple weeks ago with my son, and I had this idea in the winter. I was like, I want to do more on the work band. So, alliteration works. And I was like, work band Wednesday, just like WinLink Wednesday. And so I've been going out this year. New Year's Day was the very first day. And that's when my son and I did the video, and we got on 17 meters, but we wanted to go out. I'm trying to go out every Wednesday. I did it last night after work, and I checked into WinLink on 30 meters. But I'm trying to use the work bands, and I'm trying to encourage others to, whether it's for POTA or just WinLink or something else, get out, use these bands and have fun, experiment, see what your tuner will do. Can you tune your end-fed half wave, on 12 meters or 17 meters? Will your tuner do it? Try making a random wire, try making a dipole or try different things. It's like I said, it's all part of that learning experience, but it's fun. It's something different.
You could just go buy one of mine too. That would be fine. I'd be okay with that. It's the
anti-field day.
The anti-field day antenna, yeah.
And that was a dipole, right?
No, it's a half wave.
Oh, the half wave. It's a link.
It's an end-fed half wave cut for 30, 17, and 12, so it's linked.
Okay.
Right, so you throw the whole thing up and you pull down the links that you want to use.
Yeah, but no, it's fun. So anyone watching, I encourage you, work band Wednesday. I'm trying to do it. I'll see how long I can stick with it, because it is a Wednesday, so it's a work day. It's during the week,
Yeah.
but I figured when I get out in the morning, if I'm out at 7 like I was a week ago, is 17 open or not? I had no luck, but I'm learning about propagation because I'm trying something different, and so I'm looking forward to it, and I hope to get some people on the log, whether it's 30-meter FT8 or 17-meter sideband, 12-meter AM, something.
Yeah, it's great idea.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, we're at the hour and a half mark. Mike, let's just for a moment here. What does your 2025 look like? Do you have any ham radio oriented goals? Anything that you know what, I'd like to try that this year?
Yeah, so I got one rollover goal that I didn't get last year, and that was to work a satellite. I never tried, and but you know, this guy is duplex, full duplex.
Ooh, yeah.
And so, you know, I and you saw it in one of the earlier photos, I do have the dual band log periodic for 2 and 70. So
has it gotten cheaper? Because I remember when I first started looking at doing satellite, you had the twin Yagis right on the mount, and you had the tracking software that would pick out the satellite and do the thing. And it was like $2,000-$3,000. I'm just like, oh no. And then I thought about going out there and holding it up, and
that's what I'm going to try. I got to wait till the weather's a little bit better, because I don't want to be messing around when it's like 17 degrees outside. And especially when I'm doing it for the first time and I don't know what I'm doing. But that's kind of the one rollover. It's just a matter of making the time to do it. But I want to do a satellite, and I mentioned one of the other goal, and that was to get a permanent station either in my car or the house. I think the car is going to be the way to go. And I really like, especially this time of year, I think about that 7100 and having that all band, all mode. But I have a short commute. It's 15 minutes for me to get into work. I have an HT in the car that works just fine with the rubber duck on it, and I can the two repeaters.
But that HT is not doing HF, so
exactly. And I keep my 705s in the trunk now, and I keep it there, and I've been doing that, so I have something ready to go. And if I get an opportunity to play some HF, but it's not set up. Even though it's just minutes, when you're anytime you want to play radio, when you have to go set up, even if it just takes 5 minutes, it's still it just seems like that much of a burden.
Wow, the pandemic really messed you up, man. You've gone like full ham radio.
I have.
It's like you're not the same guy anymore. Now you're walking around thinking about propagation.
I know.
I got an HT in my glove compartment.
Yep.
All right. Hey, Mike. Okay, so here we go. Last thoughts. What would you like to share with the audience as a way of wrapping this thing up?
I just say and I put the little tag underneath my name. I've been saying for a good year now, like, leave no band behind. Like, get out there.
It's wintertime, bro. What about 160? What are you gonna do about that?
I've only got one 160 contact. It's something I got to do. I got to get 260 feet or 50 feet of wire, whatever it's going to be, and hook it up to a 49-to-1 and just go out. I got a couple places because I know where I can fit the 80-meter off center fed, and I've got an 80-meter end fed that I've brought out. So I know a couple parks where I got the room, but it's just a matter of getting around to it. But
you want my advice? Just get a sloper. Yeah, just go on eBay. There's a dude who sells 160-meter slopers in the coil, so it's like a big coil. And you know what? Hang on. I can pull this up.
Tim, some of those slopers require a tower to work against, right?
No, they're fine. Hold on a second. I'll send Tracy the picture, or I'll put it in the chat.
Say what Tim's doing. That it just, again, leave no band behind, guys. Get out there, try different bands, try different modes. There's things like 900 megahertz has been in the news. We might lose some of that band, depending what the FCC does. They're proposing changes to 60 meters. So get out and use these things. Otherwise, we might lose some of it, like we did the 220 band.
20. That's right.
And so 900 megahertz, that might not be sexy to a lot of people, but that's what Meshtastic and a lot of those devices are using. And so, get out there, use it however you're using it, whether it's Meshtastic, whether it's doing FM simplex or APRS, whatever it is. Take advantage of what we got.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, especially 220, because when I first got into the hobby, 220 was a band, right? Mm-hmm. And then I forget when it got pretty much cut in half, and it was because nobody was using it. And even to this day, it's like that is one of the least used bands. Like that's actually very easy. It doesn't require a whole lot of special antennas or anything to operate it. It really doesn't. But yeah.
Links in the chat, Tracy, if you want to pull it up.
I just took a look now. Was that in the private chat, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay,
it is. Okay. You forget you don't let me into the regular chat.
Yeah, we're not allowed.
You're afraid I might say something.
Yeah. We're just the peons here. We're not allowed to do that.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you don't think this needs to be set up?
I sat in my living room next to the fireplace and worked all states on 160 with that thing one winter, many moons ago.
Oh, okay.
And I had one end stuck to my chimney, and another end, and the other end outside on the close to the ground. And
CW?
JT65 actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was on 160. That's where everybody was at. I mean, if you were going to go, it was either going to be CW. I mean, you're not going to get side back contacts with that.
Yeah.
If I wanted to change it's directional, right? So if I wanted to change directions, I would just unhook it on one end, flip it around, and come back the other way. And it was only, let's see, so from the top of my chimney to the bottom be 35. So you're talking 50 feet, maybe 55 feet ish.
Okay.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the tip on that.
You'd be a top bander.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? I don't think I've ever made a contact on 160.
No,
I had been thinking about trying it because wasn't the contest last month? But I realized the contest for 160 it was CW only.
I'll tell you a secret. I'll tell you a secret too. The 80 meter OCF that you have.
Yeah.
We'll tune 160.
Okay.
With the right tuner, if you got it.
Yeah, it did do it with the emergency one. I tried, but I have not tried it with the LDG, the external tuner, which is going to have a much bigger.
Because I can do it on manual. I don't advertise that. I get that all the time. It's like, hey, I used your 80 meter on 160. And I was like, yeah, I can do it here with a manual tuner, but the 3-to-1 inside the ASU won't do it.
No.
Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks so much, Mike, for being a guest. It was fantastic having you, getting a chance to chat with you finally after all this time. Continued success with your YouTube channel.
Thank you.
If you're watching this and you have not yet subscribed to Mike's channel, please go over and do so. It's Mike, N2MAK. Mike's got some great stuff over there. He'll keep you entertained. You'll learn some stuff. Really, really great channel. So thanks for being with us, Mike. For all those who've watched live, thank you very much. For all of those who are watching after the event, thanks so much. We'll see you next month. By the way, next month, program alert, we will have Chuck, KK6USY. You may recognize Chuck from the Coffee and Ham Radios stream. Chuck is going to be with us, but because of a conflict, we are going to be doing next month's stream on a Monday night. That's going to be an unusual Monday night for us. Monday the 17th of February will be our next stream. And of course, you'll find advance notices next time for the correct date for that stream on both Chris's channel and myself. Speaking of Chris's channel, if you haven't subscribed to Chris's channel, please go do so. He's got some great stuff over there. Chris, the Kilo 2 Charlie Juliet Bravo radio channel. And let's not forget Tim, Aether Wave Antennas on eBay and Etsy. Am I right, Tim?
And Comms Depot, who's going to be at the Hamcation 2025 in the North Hall 195B, I think it was.
Fantastic. Hey, and if you're getting a chance, anybody watching this, to get out to Hamcation, by all means, enjoy and come back next month and let us know how it went. Okay, 7-3, everybody. Been great, and we're looking forward to the next one already.